Wow, hello everyone. Thank you all so much for joining our third virtual artist chit chat. My name is Allison and I'm a member of Matters Theater Company and I will be your Zoom MC this evening. So Mad Horse Theater is located in South Portland, which is indigenous land stolen from the tribes of the Wabanaki Confederacy. We encourage you all to visit native-land.ca to learn more. And if you would also like to see where you might be located if you're not sure, this map is by no means complete, but it is a valuable stepping stone. And if this is your first time joining us, I want you to know that you can experience our September panel and October panel on our website under virtual events or via our YouTube page. And check those out to help fill the void until we are back together in December. So before we jump into our panelists tonight, we do have a couple of reminders. So our model for this evening is inspired by Pecha Kucha's storytelling. So each artist is going to have approximately 7 minutes to talk with all of you. We're going to move from artist to artist, and then at the end, we'll open up everything to you, our audience. So if you have a question or thought that you would like to share with any of these artists, please send it to us, your hosts, via the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we can help facilitate the conversation. You are welcome to send questions in at any time during the evening. You don't necessarily have to wait until the very end. We're always eager to hear from you. We also ask that as much as you can, refrain from using the chat function while people are presenting. It becomes a little bit distracting, but there might be a couple times when we might need to send you there. And we'll let you know when that is. And both of these functions are at the bottom of your screen. We are also recording the following portion of the evening. And we just want to let you know, we will plan on making this recording available the same way as our other ones are. It'll be located both on our website under virtual events and via our YouTube page. We will also be following up with all of you on the best ways to follow, contact, and support all of these amazing, amazing people that you are about to meet. And if you can, please support these folks. We'll be sharing all of the best ways to do that throughout the evening, at the end, and again, in all of the follow-up emails and our social media to make sure that you have the direct links. It is so important to support artists. And I will let them share more details, but there's even more safe fun to add with everybody in the coming weeks. So again, thank you all so much being here this evening. And can we all please give a virtual round of applause to our first presenter tonight. Gibson Leblanc is a writer and teaching artist based in Portland. His first collections of poems, Death of a Ventriloquist, won a Vassar Prize and was featured by Poets and Writers. His poems have appeared in magazines including Guernica, The New Republic, Tin House, Slice, Field, and the Literary Review. His second book, Dangle Dazzle Dive, is forthcoming from Kevon Perry Press in 2021. He serves as executive director of the Maine Writers and Publishers Alliance and lives in Portland. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Gibson.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm super excited to be with this group and to hear all of the amazing things that are going to happen after my portion. Let's see, what do I want to say? So before I sort of officially start my talk, I want to talk really quickly about an organization that Allison mentioned that I'm involved with, which is the Maine Writers and Publishers Alliance. I've been on the board and I'm now the director, and it's a wonderful organization. So I just want to say a couple quick things about it. It was founded in 1975, and we focus on craft, community, and culture among the writing community in Maine. We have more than 1,400 members, and we offer writing workshops, conferences, events. Everything's online right now. There's plenty of scholarships and fellowships available. So if you are interested in writing and storytelling and you want to try some things out, it's a great place to do that. Or if you're already working on projects and you want to find your people, fellow readers, writers, editors, literary professionals, then check us out at mainwriters.org. but I want to get on to the meat of my talk tonight, which is that it's really been a shitty year. I think many of us know this. Um, and it's hard to name all the layers to that shittiness. So I was thinking about what I was going to say tonight, and I was thinking about how we keep our heads and our hearts about us in such shitty times. How do we pay attention? How do we stay creative? And before I talk about that, I want to just quickly recap how and why things are shitty. Um, we've seen this map, right? Coronavirus cases are nearing 55 million globally. More than 1.3 million people have died. Police in the United States killed 164 Black people in the first 8 months of 2020. Did I mention the wildfires all over the western part of this country? Superstorms, our warming planet, and of course, we can't forget about he who must not be named. And wherever you might be on the political spectrum, having a leader whose central modes of communication are overstatements, outright lies, and insults can't be good for our psyches. Hopefully, soon we can at least go back to ignoring this guy. We've also lost a lot of people this year. Here are some faces that I'm sure you'll recognize: RGB and John Lewis. We've got Kobe and Chadwick Boseman and Eddie Van Halen. Here are my losses. My brother Leland died at 49 this summer, and my mother, Kathy Gibson Fay, at 77. For my brother, he died after an 8-year struggle with stage 4 metastatic melanoma. My mom died less than 2 months later after a sudden and unexpected cancer diagnosis. My brother Lee was a computer software engineer, a director of a team of engineers. He was a dad of 2 boys about the same ages as mine, 15 and 13, a husband, a hockey coach, a writer, a lover of music and bad jokes and running. My mom sold real estate for 30 years in Chicago. She raised 3 kids as a single mom, starting when I was 13. She loved friends and family, loved to laugh, loved to dress up. Glam Kathy Fay, my best friend Mike used to call her. So who or what are you grieving right now? So many of us are carrying things that are heavy. How do we pay attention to that and stay connected to our creative work, to what we're passionate about? I keep thinking about that song that's being passed around on social media, the Keep Going song by the Bengsons. There's that moment when Abigail Bengson sings, "Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay?" I didn't know I would spend this year studying grieving up close, but that's what I'm doing. And guess what? I'm finding I'm more resilient than I thought I was. I'm still here. I have good and bad days. My cocktail for getting through the days, good or bad, for keeping the creative flame alive, includes running. It includes good work, therapy, sleep, time with my loved ones, my dogs, the outdoors, reading, writing, repeat. But also, I've lowered my standards. I'm trying to go easy on myself. I'm not expecting a new book to suddenly appear. I'm not expecting poems to just fall out of me one after another. I'm taking more naps. I'm taking notes and paying attention as much as I can. I'm also binge watching Arrested Development and The Crown with my family. And I have written a few poems, and I want to share one with you tonight. It's called How Small. How small. How little these words matter. How to mother these little words. how to word these little matters. My brother and mother died this summer, 2 of 7 billion, 2 of 107 billion who ever breathed, 2 of 5. This summer, I mothered my brother's death. I wondered over my mother's quick cancer on 1 of 100 billion planets in a barred spiral galaxy. We all are rounding errors, miracles of error. How little these words I round. I breathe these errors and let their weight hang right here. So that's what I've got. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here, and take care of yourselves.
Gosh, Gibson, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing some of your poetry. Yeah, 2020 has been, as you so aptly put it, a pretty shitty year. So I hope for all of you that maybe joining these chit chats as evenings a bit better and a bit brighter. There are 2 ways to best follow along with Gibson, mainwriters.org and gibsonfayleblanc.com, all one word. And again, don't fret, we will make sure that all of these links are to you directly following tonight's event. So up next, we have Myles Bullen, pronouns he, they. Myles, I'm so sorry, oh my gosh. Myles is an Indigenous art poet and indie rap artist from Portland. They create songs and poems advocating for social justice, mental health, and how to deal with depression and anxiety. Myles has toured throughout 40 states and Europe at various venues and colleges, performing and teaching creative writing workshops in schools, recovery centers, and prisons. You can get Myles's new album, Healing Hurts, at mylesbullen.bandcamp.com. And we are so excited you are joining us tonight, Myles. Yay!
Hi. Thank you for being here. Thank you. You are appreciated. Wait, I know you. I know you from somewhere. You look so familiar. Oh. I know where. I saw you at that Spose show, man. You're so dope. In those school tours, you're on fire like a California forest. You got colors, love your aura, admired by the cafe choir. Your old friends are so young, dying. Heroin addicted in a suicide silence. You that beatbox poet on Instagram. I heard your sister's dead. You missed her funeral. You were on tour instead. Now your mom's got cancer. Your dad's on oxygen. I don't know who you're boxing against. Hands turn purple. Beating the drum. Beating thoughts in your head. Awfully led off of the ledge. I think I'm slightly psychic. Sorta psychotic or psilocybin psychedelic. Can't put your finger on it. I see things that don't exist yet. I dream up future events like premonitions. Cast lines out the galaxy, bub. I'm starfishing. You can't touch my reality, dog. Wizard mystic. I control the weather, make it blizzard in the tropics. I visit with the dead and I got a pet Loch Ness. Soul folks, fleet foxes. Bigfoot couldn't step inside of these soxes. Think I got a little bit off topic. I am not for everyone. It feels so good to not need the approval of other people, you know? I am not for everyone. To not need to be accepted from anybody but yourself. Navigate the ocean through a blustering commotion. I float with buoyancy, dock up the boat, then on land. I got the alphabet on hand, like tattoo letters, and a lot can do, but no one better. I skip class, I spit math, tornado with words, controlled weather. I mix wise thoughts with bad decisions. Young grasshopper, young rap talker, vulnerable, unorthodoxing. I seek truth through the newest angle. Star spangled, the blues dude. Only deal that I'd sign with was rhyme sayers. But I don't party, I'm no rocker. But got moms bumping my shit in the car on the way to drop kids at soccer. Poet so proper, poet dope author, poet flow faucet. Fuck the gov and everyone that is in office. I still believed in Bernie Sanders even though we lost it. Be an idiot, we'll get our ass to the caucus and vote green and volunteer, pioneer in this trade. I get the chance to take trains, educate brains, demonstrate greatness. I'm innovative by nature. I'm digging a hole inside of the heart of a hater. I'm cinematically photogenic, artsy kid. I started planting flowers inside of carcasses, cause the planet needed to go where darkness lives. And I am not for everyone. Feels so good to finally accept yourself for who you are, not for who you were or who you're trying to be, but who you are right here, right now. Looking at this screen here with me. Thanks, everyone. This is my fish. All right, I'm gonna need all of your help right now. So I know that Allison at the beginning of the show said not to use the chat, but I'm gonna break rules and I'm gonna ask you all to use the chat. So what I need from you to do, while you're so comfy wherever you are, is I need you to put in the chat something that brings you joy. Right now, do it. Oh wow, I don't even have the chat open. How do I open this chat? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. You know what rules? It really rules when you break the rules. You can go outside like a dog and filled with drool. Try to find trees, try to climb mountains, try to feel breeze. I try to go outside in my backyard ice rink, spin around in circles, see what I think. And the reason that I'm not there is because I'm in here. Yeah, my eyes are always fixated on something beautiful, something that I want. Yeah. But not to bother anybody. I would rather just chill with my granddaughter. And that's the truth. You can find me swimming in a pool. Yeah. And things are great. I sit down with my friends and paint. I like to color up the sky. Yeah. I like to make things happen. Know why? Yeah. I like to chill with the sun when my day's finally done. Yeah. I can sit and watch it set and spending time with my best friends and hugs. Yeah. It's all good. I can feel better when I walk through the woods. I feel smart whenever I finally make Pop-Tarts and eat them with my friends, and we feel a lot better. Big brown eyes in my mind, that's better. Yeah, I got a lot of cool colors on my sweater. It's true, but Marie Stewart said you, and I think she meant me. Like New Mexico is NM, and I went there last year. I went everywhere last year, to tell you the truth. I was always on the tour route and getting back. Starting to get bitter outside and it's cold, so I guess go knit me a sweater and sit with some kittens. Yeah! Laughing with my cousins. Everything was all good, got my head buzzing. driving country roads. Yeah, the only place I want to go is back home, back to that old trailer. But it's burnt down now, and I guess I'll have to think about it later. So to look me in my eye and tell me I had a cookie, a sweet surprise, and now I'm feeling better, feeling all good. I should probably make myself some comfort food. Anyways, it's been a really great day. I'm glad you all showed up to watch us play. We'll be here for a while after that. So welcome to this chit chat. Thank you. My name is Myles. I'm gonna go now.
Myles, you're so cool. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your work. That was incredible. I just can't get over that song with the chat function. Honestly, yeah, if everyone wants to keep sharing everything that brings them joy in the chat for the rest of the evening, I would never say no. Find ways to spread joy, right? So everyone, to follow along with all of what Myles can do, please visit his website. Again, it's mylesbullen.bandcamp.com. You can also find his new album, Healing Hurts, and just to follow along and throw some support. Just a reminder that yes, you can share your joy in the chat, but if you want to send us any thoughts and questions for the Q&A portion, you can send that to the Q&A function, which is also just on the other side of that little like Zoom thing at the bottom of the screen, and we will get all of that at the end. Thank you again, Myles, and we're going to shift it over to our next artist, Callie Kimball. Callie is an award-winning playwright and educator. Her plays have been produced and developed in New York, Chicago, LA, DC, Mad Horse. Shout out to Alligator Road. Does anybody remember our yard bombed theater? It was amazing. The Kennedy Center, Portland Stage Company, Lark Play Development Center, Halcyon Theater, Echo Theater, the Brick Theater, Project Y Theater, Team Awesome Robot, Washington Shakespeare Company, the Drama League, and many colleges and festivals across the country. Callie also teaches workshops and is beginning a new series in resilience in January. I let her share much more. So thank you again for joining us tonight, Callie.
Hi, thank you so much, Allison, for that introduction. And thanks to everyone at Mad Horse for bringing us together at this time and building community and just to have some fun. Actually, I'm wearing the same dress that I wore to the opening night of Alligator Road, actually. It was actually kind of good to do a little check that I could still fit in it because, you know, with pandemic binge eating, that's questionable. But no, I love, this is so fun, and I really am so glad to be a part of it, and I appreciate everybody for you know, showing up. So obviously we're in the pandemic, and I'm a playwright and nobody's doing plays, and so my focus on my writing has shifted to just writing. And you know, I started as a poet and then I became a playwright, and now I'm sort of experimenting with what I want to do and the content I want to create and offer. So I'm actually going to share with you something no writer should ever do this, but I'm going to share a first draft of something just because it's fun and scary to do so. So this is something I call a 100-year garden. Here we go. I've long resisted writing a memoir of any kind. While I certainly can devour autobiographies written by those who overcame extreme childhood poverty or abuse, anecdotalizing my difficult little life as a contribution to the genre I call misery porn has never held much appeal. That said, we're in the middle of great social and political unrest, not to mention a deadly pandemic. Many, if not most people, are experiencing emotional, physical, and financial strain. And lately, I find myself wondering if I might have something to offer. The only bit about my childhood I'll share is that both of my parents experienced homelessness. one as a child, the other as an adult. Suffice it to say, when I formed my earliest opinions of the world, we were quite poor. Despite that, I've failed to become a hoarder. For a decade, I've lived by a rule when it comes to what I own. For each item I bring into my home, I must part with at least one like it. I'm breezy about deciding which lumpy pottery to keep and which to give away, for I know there will always be more chances to own and love discarded things. I come to understand that life is far richer when I don't possess all I desire. The story of how I came to acquire 2 lawnmowers in the span of 24 hours is remarkable, not because I so egregiously broke my own rule, but because I don't have a yard. I live in a basement apartment where several months of pandemic isolation have pushed me to make peace with my linoleum floors, acoustic ceiling tiles, and the occasional curious and doomed insect. The first lawnmower is an older electric model that a newly divorced woman was giving away. When she apologized that it was missing this or that attachment, I reassured her that it wasn't anything a little Google and duct tape couldn't fix. So privately, I had doubts. In a joking way, I told a few friends, "You'll never believe what I got today." On my walk the next day, I stopped to browse a little library that has sustained me during the pandemic. The owners have an established garden, and I saw that they were selling a push mower for a few dollars. We haggled good-naturedly in our masks, and I rolled it home. I told exactly no one about this second lawnmower. As I parked it on my patio next to the electric one, I realized I need to figure out where to store them before the snow flies. This sudden belief that I would soon have a yard baffled me. It took me another day to identify this new feeling as optimism. After all that had happened, to dare plan for a future that included things like a home and a garden was a heartening sign. It's not that I was a step closer to returning to my former self, because significant parts of that self had been lost and mourned. And it doesn't matter whether I use or end up giving away the lawnmowers. What matters is that I feel secure enough to hope again, if only in a low stakes, used lawnmower kind of way. It might not sound inspiring, but for many, life is more about enduring than succeeding. From 2016 to 2017, the events of my life included my stepmother dying from a surgical accident, a friend being raped and killed on Christmas, and a guy I dated who never even seemed a little drunk entering rehab. And that's the highlight reel. There was quite a bit more, but you get the idea. It was a lot. When it seemed like I'd rounded the corner, a friend on whom I'd leaned heavily joked that if I ever wrote it all into a play, no one would believe it. It was too much. And when she said this, it was with the shared sense that 2018 was going to be my year. I was due for some good luck. I'd started a consulting firm that would be flexible and support my playwriting. A Broadway and film producer had commissioned a new play from me. I was dating someone I was crazy about. Things had settled down and I was leveling up. 3 months later, while my boyfriend and I were doing yard work at his place, a handyman dropped a pair of shears onto my head from 2 stories up. It's taken me over 2 years to recover, much of which I don't remember. My main understanding of that time is from rigorous notes I took when something remarkably good or bad would happen. I logged things like had another seizure next to drove to the grocery store without GPS in a giant spreadsheet. Because I have so few memories of what happened and no reliable timeline without those notes, I call it the dark time. It was only when my ability to visualize and store information returned that I realized I'd lost it. And that loss of my mind's eye is likely what made those years such a blank. The work of writing has become granular and tiring. I continue to have cognitive challenges around working memory. Though I still type as quickly as I think, it takes longer to arrange the words on a screen. But I'm grateful. Besides my mind's eye, I've regained my sense of humor and my ability to think in metaphor. My emotions have leveled out and I've stopped trying to put away the milk in the bathroom. So the story of how I came to acquire 2 lawnmowers is a story of resilience and hope. About 9 months into my recovery, I met someone else recovering from a brain injury. Our first conversation lasted hours and gave us both enormous relief. We found in each other something no medical professional had offered, the connection that comes only from a shared and specific lived experience. We instinctively understood and empathized with frustrations that our friends, family, and coworkers couldn't. Over the next year or so, I met more and more people who, like me, looked normal, but were lost and confused inside. I was isolated in my frustration and sorrow, but one by one, I found connection. And I noticed that no matter how our injuries occurred or what our life circumstances were, our struggles were similar. Especially painful were the challenges around friends and family who couldn't understand why we were so difficult or forgetful or angry. And I knew if I were lucky enough to recover, I wanted to help others. I offered my first 4-week workshop on resilience in February of 2020. Though I never advertised the workshops as being for people with concussions, word got out and 4 people with brain injuries came to that first workshop. Just as my world was opening up, COVID-19 shut it down for everyone. The workshops ended and 2 world premieres of my plays were postponed indefinitely. As I write this, the virus has claimed over 1 million lives worldwide. Students are navigating remote learning and restrictions while having fewer resources to help them manage stress. Fewer than half of the 22 million jobs that were lost in the early days of the pandemic have returned. Businesses are going bankrupt. The United States is experiencing a constitutional crisis, and unarmed Black men and women continue to be killed each week. There is no good reason for me to have 2 lawnmowers or a single ounce of hope, but I do. And I've begun to create a 100-year garden where there will be space for joy and sorrow, work and leisure, community and solitude, and finally, a sense of home. Thank you.
Oh, Callie, thank you for sharing. That was really beautiful. I might have cried a little bit. um, Thank you for sharing that new part of your life and your process with us. That was really, really powerful. So everybody, again, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to support artists, especially during this time, especially when so many of us are turning to the arts to kind of get us through. So if you can support Callie via her Venmo, which is at Calendrome. Again, we will make sure all of this is included later. You can also follow Callie at her website at www.calliekimball.com and visit www.starnskimball.com for information about her resiliency workshops. And again, yes, we will make sure that all of this gets to you following the event via email and social media. Thank you again so much. That was really, truly powerful. I'm going to transition us over to our 4th artist tonight. It's someone you might recognize from a couple Mad Horsey adventures over the past couple seasons. Jared Mongeau is a based actor, physical comedian, musician, and theater maker. He is ever grateful for the widespread opportunities he's had in performing arts, and he's eager to support both on stage and off. The stories of those marginalized and underrepresented, because Black Lives Matter. So I will hand it over to you, Jared.
Thanks, Allison and everyone else for having me. I know what I'm going to say, and I'm really struck with how much a feeling of community we can all have through a video screen. That's cool. So as Allison said, I'm an actor and I make theater, and my specialty is in physical comedy, but I started in the arts as a performer professionally as a clown. I have to be honest with y'all. Clown is a word I have a very tumultuous relationship with. this is what came up when I did a Google search for images of clowns. So, how does this happen? One, we have a fellow Mainer to thank a bit, but I also think that this is what happens when symbolism is misinterpreted and it loses its meaning and it causes a culture to be misinformed and misguided. So this might get a little existential because the clown plays in the absurdity of existence. What each clown looks like is a symbolic character or is a symbolic example of each character using conventions that have been picked up over thousands and thousands of years of the art of the clown being practiced. According to lore, the red nose comes from the red nose a drunkard would get after drinking, and the big shoes and baggy pants stem from physical deformities, either by birth or by hard labor, suffered by the lower class. These are elements of class that are odd, scary, but a clown is not purely fun, funny, happy, joyful, bright, because a clown exists because it's hard to exist. And that's where the comedy comes from, because we agree it's hard to exist, and thank God someone's saying it. So, the clown is low status. The clown is the other. The clown suffers. The clown keeps going. The clown delights. The clown is divine. And most important, the clown is funny. And I say the clown is divine because the earliest recordings of clowns come from religious ceremonies where they would take on the appearance of gods. Now, in the 19th and 20th century, the circus became the most popular and accessible form of entertainment in the States, as it brought the show to communities who otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to open up their experiences further into the world. Many kids would have never seen, whatever your moral standing, an elephant or a tiger or a giraffe, etc. The clown's role in the circus was to bridge the audience and the spectacle. And they provided a release of tension from the death-defying acts, which also mirrors the release of tension clowns would provide back in the theater of ancient Greece following tragedies. So, as the circus got bigger, the clown adapted because they went from playing little, street corners into this. So, this is why there was bolder makeup, there were brighter costumes, and there were bigger, more exaggerated gestures. And that's less and less like a human. And the circus, as I said, was the most popular form of entertainment in the States. And what's popular is reproduced and copied and becomes more common. And what is more common begins to lose its value. So the visual element of the clown is imitated. And something gets left behind in that process. The red nose and the shoes and the makeup are just assumed to be funny, which they are not. And the clown can't try to be funny, the clown is funny. Because the clown has a hard time existing. And that's funny. Because we all have a hard time existing. So these tools that expose the character of the clown are beginning to get misused. So one of the most common definitions you will hear is that the clown holds a mirror up to society. That is because I believe the clown is unparalleled in its ability to adapt to its environment and to serve the purpose to the community the community needs. But as the clown became Americanized through the 20th century, I look at the stereotypes that arose and still prevail and find them kind of interesting. Loud, aggressive, annoying, stupid, scary. So, why would I or anyone choose to pursue this craft when this is what the word clown is used for now? And I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't know why I do it. I'm pulled to. Because it's funny. So the one thing I can tell you is that this week is actually the 10-year anniversary of my first full week on tour as a clown with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. So I was 18 and I was one of 12 clowns in the clown alley. There were 4 countries amongst the 12 of us, and we were just a few of the 150 performers that represented 42 countries in the performance, and I am over there somewhere. Yes. So I also had just moved into my own place for the very first time, kind of. So it was a 5-foot by 7-foot room on this train car 189. And that is my window right there. And this is one car that was on a train that was a mile long. And we would travel on this train and perform upwards of 500 shows by the time the year was done. And that was exhausting. So, where was I? At Ringling, I had to conform to some stylistic choices I didn't agree with because I felt they perpetuated some negative stereotypes of the clown. But my comrades and I knew that that was little to suffer through in return for every opportunity to share a moment with another human being of any age, shape, size, ethnicity, social status, what have you. It's all the same, but to share a moment where we could just go, hey, we both exist right now and this isn't going to happen. This is awesome. And share the amazing environment that we were part of time and time and time again. It's by the time I left, I took it for granted. And 10 years down the line, it was it's an irreplaceable experience. So I think somewhere in those interactions is a seed of the truth of what it is to exist. And when I say truth, I'm not saying honest, doing it honestly, because honesty can be misguided, no matter how genuine it is. And that is a very, very fine line to walk and to decipher. But I think the exercise of the clown is to find truth in being, which allows the clown to be and share the folly of man in physical form. Because the clown is a paradox and a contradiction and a metaphor, and the clown is an enigma. clown is. And the clown is funny. So the Ringling Brothers style of clown is gone. It's not dead, but this is gone. By the time I joined the show, it had been going for 141 years, and when it closed, it was 146. It was older than baseball, as they like to say. But this clown doesn't need to come back because A, the environment for it, the only environment it could exist in, has disappeared. And it doesn't need to come back because it served its purpose for the people it needed to, for as long as it needed to. And then we keep going. So when I look back on these 10 years, there are 3 things I've learned through the art of clown, which I've stepped away from, honestly, for a little while. And in revisiting this, am greatly pulled back into picking up and putting on a nose again. It taught me 3 things I didn't know how to see back then. Resilience, truth, joy. And joy is something that we will always need. Thanks.
Oh, Jared, thank you. Oh, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with yeah, I have so much I would say and pick your brain about, but that is not for right now. That's for a little bit. So everybody, to follow along with more of Jared's adventures, you can visit his website. It is www.jaredmongeau.com. And as I will keep repeating, it'll probably be etched onto my gravestone someday. Please support artists. And you can support him via Venmo. It is at Jared-Mongeau. And also, as a shameless plug on behalf of Horse, Jared is currently part of our first virtual Buy Local. We had our first reading last Sunday, and you can catch Jared again this Sunday at 7 o'clock. Free to attend for our second reading of Waiting for Alice. So if you would like to see him do some of his real clown magic, even virtually, I cannot encourage you enough to join on Sunday. And Jared, I really hope you feel like we are not taking advantage of you as a clown. But
I just know the writing is really good.
But thank you again. So I am super delighted to introduce all of you all to our final artist of the evening, Claw Billie, pronouns she, they. Claw Billie is an electronic musician currently residing in Biddeford. Their primary musical focus is on dance beats and synth atmospheres, but they've honestly tried a little bit of everything. Their film scoring work has been featured locally in such projects as Voulez-vous Burlesque's multimedia dance movie series and the last 3 years of the Damnation Land Horror Festival. Their influences are too big to list, but if they had to narrow it down to just 3, that list would be the Chemical Brothers, John Carpenter, and Weird Al Yankovic. Their most recent project is trying to pay rent through composing stock music. Preaching to the choir here. But I will let Billie's work speak for itself, so I'm going to hand it over.
Thank you, Allison, for that lovely introduction. I forgot I wrote such a long one. So I am thrilled to be here. I will reveal to everyone that we did a rehearsal last night, and I was told, and then we'll end on Billie, who's just gonna bring it all home with something super fun. And I regret to inform you, I've come to scare you. I didn't know exactly what to talk about tonight. I find myself wearing many hats. I'm a comedian, I'm a writer, I do burlesque, I do it all. But living in Maine, because of a very famous author from Maine, Tim Sample. There's a big market for horror. So I have somehow found myself wearing the hat of horror movie composer, which is very interesting because I was not even allowed to watch horror movies as a kid. I didn't even get into them until I was 18, but I did turn a life of being bad at music into making creepy music. So that's always a good start. If you try your hand at music and people go, that doesn't sound normal, horror movies are the job for you, friend. In all seriousness, though, I did want to talk tonight about my methods and what goes into making a song scary. So I'm going to kick it over to the booth, and I'm just going to play you a little piece that I composed for, I believe, the 2018 Damnation Land Festival. So take it away. All right, so that was from a short called The Prisoner by Through the Door Productions. If you haven't seen it, I believe it's up on their YouTube channel. In that one, a mysterious box in the woods opens up to reveal that there is a stranger trapped inside of it. And so some of the ideas that went into that piece, when I go to compose a piece, I start from a very simple idea. When you are watching a movie that is intended to scare you, you have agreed to a sort of social contract, which is, I have come here to be scared. And I would like to know that everything is okay by the end. But right now I would like to be scared. And the number one feeling I'm always going for when I write a piece like that is something is wrong here. And I joked earlier that if you're a bad musician, then a career in horror is right for you, but that's not quite right. It needs to sound like music you've heard before, but then something is wrong. So there's a lot of techniques I'm using in that one piece. And when I was going to talk tonight, I was going to amass a bunch of different things that I'd composed, but then I realized that that one little piece actually had a lot of the tips and tricks that I do. So if I can just go over them really quickly. This is a fun fact. Did you know that the frequency of a volcano and a tiger are almost identical? And there's probably no way to prove this, but there has been a theory posited that that's a survival thing for us. When we hear something at that frequency, we go into there's danger mode. So number one, low rumblings work every time in horror movie scores. The next time you watch a horror movie, you'll hear before the quote unquote song starts, there's a rumbling. There's something going on underneath, and that starts the prickles on your neck. The next thing that I like to do, there's literally something that doesn't belong here. I will pick an instrument and I will put it in the wrong key. Now you could think, oh, just a wild cacophony of sounds is scary. No, it's much more scarier to hear 4 violins being friends and then one who's up to something. So that's a technique I used at the end when you hear those little plinks. One of them is in the same key as all the other instruments, and then another one is just doing its own thing in the background, and your brain just goes, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that. Another thing is pitch bending, one of my absolute favorite things to do. So most songs, when you listen to them, you know, the notes are very clearly defined. Bup, ba-da-da, bup, bup, bup. But if there's some wiggle room between those notes and they're just bending into each other, that doesn't sound too bad. But when you slow it down, your brain goes nuts. Your brain is like, yeah, what's happening? So the violins in that song those are electronic samples, and I'm electronically bending them away from what they're doing. So if you listen to it, you hear that like, but then it starts to go, and your brain again just doesn't like that. And I know these are all very technical terms, but kind of what I wanted to build up to here was much like a horror movie. You get a final girl who gives you hope. And the hope that I want you to take away from this is I have no formal musical training. Shocking, I know. I get featured in movies and I have no musical training. I grew up very poor. We literally could not afford an instrument outside of, I think, a harmonica once. And so what I did was played with tape recorders all day. I actually got my start wanting to be a Foley artist, making sound effects for movies. I received a Game Boy as a gift and I traded it for cassette tapes. That was how obsessed I was with manipulating sound. I would listen to songs on the radio and wait for my favorite parts to come back around and just record a single drum beat. So I don't want it to be a story of poverty necessarily, but to you, I say, if you think that you don't have the knack for music or for any art form, it's actually not that hard to get started in music. Believe it or not, I wrote 150 songs this year because I had to pay rent. And I wrote them all on the bus in the last 10 years. This is an app that costs $4. You can write music. If right now in this moment, you're like, this sounds neat, I want to write music. You can write music. It's pretty easy these days. Go in, play with the controls. For my money, it's almost more fun to not know what you're doing. Just get in there, see what comes out the other side. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you'll be scared by it. But don't be scared to start something fun. So that's the advice that I leave you with. Whatever you're thinking of doing, do it. You've got plenty of time. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand it back over to Allison.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I don't know, that music is so cool. And so yeah, very personally, I love scary movies and scary stories. And I love the tactics behind telling those stories. So I definitely feel like this is ending on a fun note. Yeah, so everybody, audience, you can find Billie's music or hire them for any of your projects by visiting their website, www.bearclawbillie.com. That's Billie with an IE. This is where you can also find some information about the really cool new podcast projects that are going on. And also, have I mentioned tonight how important it is to support artists? Because you can also support Billie through their Venmo at BearClawBillie or Patreon at patreon.com/BearClawBillie. And again, all of these links will be included in all of our follow-up information to you via email, newsletter, and social media. So it'll be coming pretty directly into your inboxes. But now we've seen everybody, so can we give all of these wonderful artists another virtual round of applause? Thank you so much for joining us.